Yes, I see some thumbs up, so it seems that people do hear me. Good morning, everybody here in Riga and everybody online, and welcome to the PRISMAP public event that we are holding today. We're very excited to share with you a lot of very interesting stuff. We're going to be starting this session with some general information about what PRISMAP will be providing for the user community and what we have achieved since our last public event. And after that, we will review maybe what is our biggest achievement so far, which is the conclusion of call number 1. And then, at the very end of this session, we will introduce what will be call number 2 coming up shortly. So I won't be holding that mic too much. I think you'll want to hear really the content. So I will pass on the mic to Iris, who will be talking to us about the communication strategy within Prisma.
So good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Thomas. So I'm very glad to be here today to present the communication part of PRISMAP. We think it's a very important part of the project that you can know the last news and events that we can offer you as a user forum. So first of all, thank you to all of you to be interested in our project. So I will go to show you the last news we have published in our website. So here you can see we invite you to browse our website. So in Prisma website lately we have added some videos I will show you now, the educational resources page and also the outcome page. I will show you directly, I think it's easier in our website. So first of all, we invite you to go to PRISMAP, to our PRISMAP website. Here you will find, I think most of you already know our page, but if not, please browse the website and navigate through that, because we have a lot of interesting information here to offer to you. So one of the latest things we have added is the outcome page, in which you can find our publications, deliverables. We lately published these deliverables, which we think are very interesting for you. I will go through that a bit later. You can find here also information about the webinars and trainings we have. So also the access to all the videos and webinars we already done in PRISMAP. You can find also the videos about the project we have now. That after one very soon, to explain the most important things about PRISMAP. So we have now the welcome to PRISMAP and also a video that explains very shortly how to apply to the projects. You can also download the project flyer if you want to use and know a bit more about our project. And here you can also access to the user projects. So the last the projects we have for the first call, you can here have found information about the projects that are already accepted and funded by PRISMAP. And also you can find finally in this site at the end educational content. I will talk a bit more about that after. So coming back to the presentation, I think I'm here. Yeah. So we invite you also to follow us in our social networks. We are very proud. We are very active on LinkedIn and also on Twitter. I will show you also our pages here. Yeah. So we are very proud about our PRISMAP Twitter page. You can find here the last information. We invite you to join us for the different events. You can find also information about the project, about the last news in PRISMAP, job opportunities, etc. So please go through here and follow us on Twitter. We really appreciate if you follow our page and you join our network. And also you can find a lot of information about the project in our PRISMAP LinkedIn page. Here is more dedicated to project offers, job opportunities, and also information about our partners. So here you can find also a lot of interesting information. We invite you also to follow us and to join our network in our social media. We usually share very interesting information here. Then, of course, we invite you to join our user forum. Most of you that you are in the public today are part of our user forum, and not everyone. So please join us, and with us, with that, you will receive the latest information about the project, the events we are organizing for you. You can also ask us to, if you are interested on specific things about the project, etc. So I just will come back to the page to show you where you can join our user forum. I think I am here. So yeah, so here in our website, you can join the PRISMAP user forum. Just go into the medical radionuclides and then go into the user forum. Here you will find information about the benefits to join our forum. You will receive the latest information. You will be part of our network. You also can participate in the different events we are organizing also for you and for the PRISMAP community. So it's very easy. You just go here, fill the formula, and you will receive also our newsletter. The newsletter I will show you after that. It's a very interesting way to receive the latest news and also to know more about the project and our partners. We usually also present our partners and our latest outcomes. So coming back to the presentation. So yes, so subscribe also to the newsletter. Like I said before, you will receive the newsletter directly when you join our user forum. So I think it's also a very interesting thing for you, but you can also find you can also find the newsletter in the news and events part in our website. So here you have information about the latest news in the project. You can also read our newsletter here and access also to the different public events we are organizing. But please, the first thing to do is just to join the user forum and be part of our community. Just for finalizing this presentation, I would like to also to show you that we already also joined lately the Zenodo. So we have also PRISMAP Zenodo a page in which you can find also information about our latest deliverables. So we have now 3 very interesting deliverables about the transport, about harmonization and standardization, and also about DFT. We think we publish these deliverables here because we think are very interesting documents for you to consult and also to know about what are we doing in this aspect on PRISMAP. So if you go to Zenodo, you can also find these documents here. So yeah, so I think with that, I will finish the presentation. So thank you very much for being here. Please join our user forum and our community. Please contact us if you need anything from us. You have also, I will just show you where you can access to so in the website, you can contact us in different places. We have the help desk specifically for the projects, but you can also go to the last part of the page, and you can also contact here, send us an email, a message if you need more information, or you would like to talk with us or propose something. So please, we invite you to contact us and be in contact, be in touch with us. Thank you very much indeed to all of you, and welcome to PRISMAP.
Thank you, Iris, for this contribution. If you have questions at any time, don't hesitate to put them in the chat. We'll be very happy to answer all your questions. I imagine that you're just taking in the knowledge at the moment and that you might be formulating them later. So I suggest that we go right away to our next speaker, which is our coordinator, Thierry Stora, who will be talking to us about the first results that we have to report within PRISMAP.
Thank you, Thomas. So indeed, I have this very nice privilege to introduce and show you how we have been developing and implementing PRISMAP to get this first call of project granted. And if I share the screen, you see it. And if I do like that, and I think we do like that. Okay, so as I said, so I'm very pleased to be able to share with you what we have been doing in PRISMAP for the launching and granting a first series of project in biomedical research with new radionuclides that we have been able to offer within PRISMAP. So the project have just been selected for the first call, and they will of course develop across the years, and that will be for us the opportunity then to hear of what are the project which will be, or a selection of project which will be developed then across the years with this first call, and we will be able then to give you a flavor of what will be the second call for project. So for those who do not know yet what PRISMAP, and you should know by then, if not, as we heard from Iris, please do visit prismap.eu website where you will get a glimpse of our project. So we are developing, implementing the European Medical Radionuclide Program. So this program is a program from the European Commission in the Horizon 2020 framework of programs, and we are structuring a set of very important national and large regional research infrastructures, which are already actively, if you want, providing radionuclide for the medical field, for medical research. But now that we are providing that within this coordinated PRISMAP project, you will see all the added value and the added benefit that we may offer. And all that keeping in mind that we submitted this project while we were in the full first COVID outbreak, we'd call crisis. And you can imagine we didn't have so severe information like the pilot was remotely working from the plane. But for instance, the submission deadline was shifted and a few other things that you may imagine was impacting the submission. So we were granted the project, and today we have been able then to offer, receive and select 9 projects for the first call. So COVID is, I think, back for most of us. We do have in Europe a new crisis which has arisen a few months ago. And in this, mindset, then we are, of course, developing the project and looking at influence and impact of these different crises indeed in how we can implement. You can imagine that shipping of radionuclides might be impacted. Availability of certain material, critical material, strategic material is as well impacting our services. So if in a very small snapshot, if you want to understand what we are doing within PRISMAP for already for a year and for the coming 3 years, is that we are indeed providing, let me see if I can use a laser pointer. Yes. So we are providing new radionuclides. This I think I repeated probably enough so that now you really know what we are doing. We have this web interface. Iris has really nicely introduced this prismap.eu, where you can submit projects, you can get information, you can see how the project is developing. You will, as the project as well as producing results, you will get results. As well, we have the mandate of providing training information for researchers interested in radionuclides and doing biomedical research with radiopharmaceuticals. PRISMAP, as such, is as a milestone in 3 years, where this phase of the project will come at, let's say, a point where we'll evaluate, we'll see what we have been able to achieve. But for sure, you can trust us. PRISMAP is going to continue for sure. So the consortium itself, I mean, what is really in the back of this nice program is that we have a set of facilities which are producing radionuclides from large infrastructures, which are most of our facilities are actually have a mandate of fundamental research, and then as well a program which was already ongoing on supplying these medical isotopes. And you will see, I will again, this you can receive from our website, but you will see that we are geographically distributed, and we have as well very different types of approaches and possibilities to produce these radionuclides. That's why the offer in PRISMAP is quite unique. And is unique not only because we have one of the most intense neutron source in the world, with the reactor in Grenoble, in La Langevin, but the BR2 reactor or the colleagues in Poland or at the Polsha Institute are not very far in the back. And then we have one of the few 70 MeV cyclotron protons accelerating alpha particles, and those which are a bit skilled in this field, you will appreciate the energy and the fact that we have possibility to access to proton, deuteron, or alpha particles. And last but not least, well, because maybe I'm coordinating Medicis as well, is that we have an isotope mass separator for medical radionuclides, and then we can provide high purity grades, enriched high specific activity. I should call it now high molar activity. This is one of the elements we have been able to progress. Is we propose really to use high molar activity to express the fact that your radioactivity is dominating a solution where you may be diluted with other more stable isotopes or other type of isotopes. We are as well combining this set of large-scale facility with biomedical research institute, which are able to host research teams. So they are not performing the research, but they will be able to accompany, to host research teams which want to use this radionuclide. Sometimes they don't have the right setup for imaging. If you want to do a PET MRI, if they want to do a certain bioassay, and then don't have the license, for instance, for handling long-lived waste, which may be one of the other of the radionuclides. And these different biomedical research facilities do have this capability. And you will see again that they are nicely distributed, and some of them are close to the production centers. So if you have rather short-lived radionuclides, and we do have some in our portfolio, then of course it's very important. So what I'm talking about is about this. So again, this you can re-access from our web interface, and that is what we had called the day one radionuclides. And you will see that they have beautiful colors, they have beautiful letters, and beautiful increasing atomic numbers and atomic masses. And what is in the back then is that you see that we are combining different decay modes in radioactivity, which allows us to access and offer research exploiting these different modes of decay. And then we are going into different mode of imaging different mode of treatments with alpha emitters in yellow, and some that you see have combined properties so that eventually you can even enter into theranostics, this very important field which is on the rise, where you combine a diagnostics property of a radio elements with a radiobioconjugate, a ligand which will target your tissues, and complemented then with a therapeutic effect in the second phase, where then you want to translate your information you have received at the diagnostic phase into a treatment where eventually you can adapt the dose, adapt the treatment along the development of the disease. So we are basically going to a very early stage of research to the translation, and this you will see from the project which have been, I'm not stuck. So with the projects that have been granted, where we are really at the preclinical stage, in vitro, in vivo experiments, small animal experiments, which are all important phases to bring this radionuclides possibly to the clinics. But we even could host or propose that one of the projects has the ambition to bring terbium-161 to the clinic with a full, what is called translational project, from really the early concept of the proposal to get this at the clinical phase early. We don't have a capacity to supply large clinical phases, and is not as well in the mandate. So you see already from the project, the 9 projects which were selected, that we have radiolantanides and the terbium family, or the erbium-165, and they are radiolantanides which combine either treatment properties like terbium-161, and probably some of you are familiar with Lutathera, lutetium-177 dotatate, which is a radio bioconjugate which is targeting neuroendocrine cancers. And so we have a very interesting terbium family which then can complement, which can offer positron emission tomography capacity, and even alpha therapy with terbium-149, which makes this set of terbium radionuclides quite unique. As well, what makes it unique is that you need to combine reactor production for 161 terbium, cyclotron and mass separation production to offer the others. And so that's why this offer is rather a highlight in our portfolio of PRISMAP, but not only. And you see that we are offering alpha emitters, or even a generator of bismuth 213, and even actually a Auger emitter, which is this very short-lived, short-ranged and moderately long-lived isotopes, where actually research is proposed into the making up a generator. For those who are familiar, that means a device where it can be hosted in a radiopharmacy, and you milk away the device so that you're getting your short-lived 165 erbium directly in the lab. So we have already this extensive portfolio, right, of radionuclides in both half-lives, in approaches which can be used, which are already implemented, have been selected into the competitive process of receiving the projects. So I remind you, 12 projects, so 9 were selected. And I wanted to tell you a little bit more on how we have been able to tell which of the projects should be granted and those which should not. And so actually we have a selection panel which is then meeting after the call is closed. And our panel was meeting together in May. The first call of project was closed on 31st of March. And then we have 6 internal members and 6 experts. This is as well accessible on the website. And you will see that this panel then, of course, is providing input on what is the capacity in terms of services in PRISMAP, but as well then is evaluating the scientific content of projects. And you can see actually that the experts in the panel can recover a broad range of expertise in using these new radionuclides in research at large, either development of techniques, development of radiopharmaceuticals, etc., or dosimetry aspect. So here I just wanted to give a small overview on how projects are structured. So it's typically 6 to 10 pages, so it's not very heavy, but still you have to make a little description, well structured, well documented on how what is the added value on the research base of your project. And here I just made an extract of one of the project which was selected on, and aiming at using 211 astatine in Belgium. And you see that you have to describe how you will, in a few pages, how you will implement your research project with the isotopes you will be receiving from PRISMAP, what you think you will be producing as a result, and of course, whether you have suitable research team and infrastructure to perform your research. So don't forget that you can have, and PRISMAP offers the possibility to come to a research institute, part of PRISMAP in the biomedical research institute, like our colleagues in Warsaw and CBG Biomedical Research Center, or the NURA campus in SCK, CHUV in Lausanne, etc. So we have been able to have some outcomes already from the project itself. So this is deliverables actually which were produced by the consortium itself, and as Iris has mentioned, you can get that directly from the website by looking at the outcomes of the projects of PRISMAP. Of course, as there will be some publications from the research teams, they will be posted on our website. And here we have 3 deliverable, that means something that was asked when we were putting PRISMAP together. We are not only providing radionuclides and research in bionomical centers, but we are as well evolving this field so that, for instance, we have proposed some standards for clinical translation. And I was, for instance, speaking about high molar activity or apparent molar activity. So we are evolving our standards on how we can define our radionuclides so that they are suitable for research and translation from clinical to clinical. We have as well scientific deliverable. You will see here DFT calculation. So this is computer simulations where you look at transitions of molecules. That means optical, if you want, or molecular vibration. So is a very much atomic physics and physical chemistry. And then, of course, you would say why we are interested in that is because this transition can be then exploited by laser if you want excitation. And we can, from organometallic molecules, eventually have the capacity to make isotope enrichment and separation from these organometallic compounds based on calcium and titanium. And calcium and titanium are key stable isotopes for the production of some of the important radionuclides, 47 scandium, etc. We have as well a very extensive report, and if you're interested to look a bit on how the logistics, how the supply chain, how the dispatch of radionuclides can take place in Europe, we have this very important document which was produced, where you already get an overview of what this is to take transport by road, by plane, and even by sailing, which is for some of our case important. For instance, if you ship radionuclides from Europe to UK, of course, you can take Eurotunnel, but Eurotunnel has very specific rules on what we call dangerous materials, and this then falls into more general classifications. And you may want to take the ferry to, not yourself, but of course the licensed company, to transport the radionuclides in PRISMAP eventually. Okay, so I'm, I think, getting to the last part of my presentation. I don't know how I am in time, Mr. Chairman. I'm still okay. So I don't want to speak too much, because then we have the three important presentations that we will receive from a set of the projects which were selected at the first call. So you will hear from the research teams what this is to apply, and what this is then they want to do with their research project. So I will then give a more general overview of the research project which were granted. So I will start by, for instance, our Belgium colleagues. So you see that 3 research teams from Belgium was selected at this first call, and we have a project. So we see that in Belgium, high interest in alpha emitters or alpha therapy seems to be very active in this field, with a request for 2 alpha emitters of PRISMAP, the 211 astatine and 225 actinium. So you see already with eventually some tests with 213 bismuth. And in terms of range, we go from really proof of concept of development of radiopharmaceutical, but as well important medical physics studies on quantitative imaging and relations to dosimetry linked with this alpha emitters to 25 actinium, which, as you know, has raised a lot of interest since it was shown to have a clear advantage at the clinical phase with, for instance, some hormone-resistant prostate cancers, which can be treated by this PSMA to 25 actinium. We have as well other projects, like, for instance, 2 from Italy, from 2 research teams. And this is in one of these teams where we see that there will be a study for comparison and eventually improved outcome when you will be testing lutetium PSMA, which is a benchmark, I would say, to respect to 161 terbium. This terbium therapeutic elements that I mentioned in this set of different terbiums, where you can combine imaging, alpha therapy, and in that case, that's more classical beta therapy, but with maybe interesting Auger components, which then can be investigated. And if this team is really successful, we may have a first clinical translation or not of this compound in Italy, and of course that is something we want to follow early on from PRISMA. We have an interesting theranostic project with a PET emitter of terbium again, an alpha emitter. Part of the project was granted to the imaging part, the therapeutic part. This will need to come back in the second phase. Still keeping south of Europe, we have one project in Spain, again on 161 terbium, with a very interesting combination of target to ligand led by the colleagues in Madrid. Then 2 projects in France. Again, an interesting combination of ligand target exploiting 161 terbium, and a quite different project more into the field of radiochemistry and development of technology, which is then developing a generator for 165 erbium, this Auger emitter I mentioned, where it's moderately long-lived, so you may want to have a generator in your lab so that you can milk away erbium for maybe 2 or 3 days, which makes the life a bit easier. And finally, one of in Germany on terbium 161 and at the preclinical level, an interesting combination of targets and ligand. So I think this is where I will stop. So we will have, I think, a selection of 3 projects. So we could not invite all the selected projects. So I hope you will get a very nice glimpse. And so thank you for the research teams which have accepted to actually present now to this PRISMAP meeting.
Good. Thank you, Thierry, for this introduction. Good. Thank you, Thierry, for this introduction. Before we move on to those testimonies, however, we still have one more piece of information that I would like to share with you, and this is about our educational material. Good. So actually, we have been running a survey across our user base. So thank you to all of you who have already responded to our survey. For those of you who have not had the chance yet to participate in this survey, please go to prismap.eu, and on this main page you will see that big red square that tells you please fill in our survey. That's the one you have to click on to access this survey. It will take you maybe 15 minutes, and it's general information. It is guided, so it should be only the relevant material. We are very keen on knowing what sort of isotopes you are currently working with, which one you hope to work with in the future, and how we can use that as the best way to respond to your needs. And then at the same time, it's also open to industrial partners so that they can try to see what they're doing already and provide us with information on how we could help them and enhance their possibilities in the future through our research. So please go to that survey, but we also have in there a series on the different training and education aspects that you are faced with, and some of the issues related to that. And we were quite touched with some of the response we received about some institutions where it might not be that easy to actually gain critical mass to be able to have dedicated trainings for nuclear medicine. So this is something we are definitely looking into, and that we hope to be able to assist with and address in the future. So how can we contribute to your training needs? And we've identified 3 axes along which we are working on training activities. First, for students from end of high school level all the way to bachelor and master's degrees at university. Then it's about PhD programs where people are really working on the topic. And finally, to the level of experienced researchers. We work in a very highly interdisciplinary field, and so it's about finding a common language that we try to help out with. The place where you can directly access all that information, where you can also give us immediate feedback. This is our website. Iris introduced that very nicely to you. By navigating to the medical radionuclides at the bottom, you will find a link to our educational resources, and this is what the page looks like. You have here give us feedback button. Don't hesitate to click on that. Give us input. We are very interested and very keen on knowing what your expectations are. And there we've started to put materials into different themes, different categories, where you can simply browse and find out any material you'd be interested in. So those are different aspects. So we talk about yes, different topical sections, especially targeting the novel radioisotopes, so what is not so common on the market. We are creating original material within PRISMAP so that we can populate those different sections, but we are also gathering material from other sources. For example, if there are interesting lecture series organized by our different partners, or if we record material from some of our events or from some schools. And if you yourself have material you think is relevant that you would like to share with the entire community, you can also direct it to us and we'll be very happy to host it on our website. Some of the original material we've produced already, Iris briefly introduced those. KU Leuven, where I'm from, we created a video, short video on how we go from production to tumor, especially concentrating on the motivation and the interest in the mass separation aspect that is key at the core of PRISMAP. There is also a video that was produced by the Belgian Nuclear Research Center, STKCEN, on the translational research, and it is one of the sites where we cover the entire spectrum from the production in the BR2 reactor all the way to the translational research with the Neura Institute, and they have created an educational video on that concept. Finally, on the backbone of the deliverable that Thierry was mentioning from work package 9 on the logistics, we've created an infographics that try to illustrate all the different steps and hurdles that you have to consider in transporting your radioisotopes from A to B. So feel free to consult this. Those are freely available. You can just go there, click and download. But I've mentioned it a few times. Tell us what you need, give us some feedback, and that's the best way for us to populate this website with what you're interested in. The second group that we are targeting, besides those early students, are the PhD researchers. They form the core of our research activities, whether within the consortium or with you, our users. And we are really keen on bringing them all together, wherever they're from, whichever institution they're from, and whichever discipline they're from, in order to create that critical mass for future in our fields. So our idea is to bring that community together around those novel radioisotopes, all the way from production to clinical use to the patient care. What it means to join this PRISMAP PhD charter is actually to gain access to our schools, our events. We will also record training material that will not always be available on the public website. So if there are very highly specific and high-level topical material, it will be hosted in a dedicated, protected web page, but also other resources, maybe books, course material, and so on that are relevant for their research. And of course, also information about opportunities across our consortium. We have many academic institutions that offer courses for credits that you can just submit to, and we will hold a catalog of what could be relevant for our community. The other aspect that can be of interest is that students would then become member of our dedicated distribution list, where we will share information about relevant events from our community, just not from our consortium, but also major conferences, major schools that can be relevant to them, as well as job opportunities or future prospects that they might want to be aware of. And that way we try to synthesize everything around the very broad interdisciplinary community that PRISMAP covers. And at the end of it, we award a certificate to those who complete that program in order for them to be recognized for their involvement and their participation into the research in this domain that can be seen as a sort of quality label recognized by our consortium, and I hope in the future by our entire community. In order to learn more about this or to download the necessary material, there is this red blog that you will find on the educational resources part of our webpage. You may also contact us with this address, prismap.training.office@kuleuven.be, which directly then comes to the training office from PRISMAP, and we can answer all of your questions specifically related to training. How do we plan on creating that online community? How do we bring everybody together all the way from Portugal to Latvia? Well, we will do that first by bringing them online. We have created a Slack workspace where they will be able to exchange informally with one another, as well as with the training office. The other way we are going to try to do that is by starting up a blog that will be self-moderated by those students, and that will allow them to bring different insights to our attention. And those blog posts will eventually become part of the newsletter and will be also distributed via the PRISMAP website. For those of you who have read our first newsletter, you might recognize Kat Spoormans from the University Hospital in Leuven, who did the first of those blog posts. And here we have Edgar Mamis from the Latvian University here in Riga, who has created the second one. So there is a question online already asking whether students outside of Europe may apply. Absolutely. We are a very welcoming community. We are very interested in extending our collaboration as broadly as possible. Of course, Europe can be seen as the European Union, but can also be seen in a broader view as the European continent. But it can be definitely interesting to see what those opportunities. Of course, if we say, can you come tomorrow across an ocean to visit us to one of our events, might be a bit more difficult, but definitely we will be welcoming to everybody. We also plan on programming and hosting international schools for our events, where anyone can participate, whether a member of the charter or not. And we already have 3 planned for next year, for 2023. A first one will be held in the spring at the Belgian Nuclear Research Center, SCK-CEN, on translational research of radiopharmaceuticals. And then there will be 2 in the summer, not back to back. We'll try to spread them in time. And there will be one specifically on radiolanthanides for medical applications, co-organized by the Porsche Institute from Switzerland, as well with DTU in Denmark, and probably held on site in Denmark with hands-on activity. And finally, there will be one in Lisbon in Portugal that will be on radiochemistry and radiopharmacy, and all of them will involve hands-on activity. In the medium future, toward 2024, 2025, we are already thinking of 2 additional schools. One that will be on medical imaging in Riga, where most of us are today, and also a school on radionuclide production by mass separation, co-organized between KU Leuven and CERN. So, if you have any questions, if you are interested in all of the opportunities we offer for PhD researchers, we have that one email address, prismap.training.office@kuleuven.be. And the final part, that's the final pillar of our training program, it is for experienced researchers. As I've mentioned many times already, we are a highly interdisciplinary community. I am myself involved in radioisotope production, material research, ion source development, separation techniques. We've heard about the computational evaluations of molecules that came from my group. While at the same time, there are people involved in radiochemistry, in radiopharmacy. We've heard about logistics. We've heard about, of course, what will come to the end, and this is the nuclear medicine treatment. And therefore, it is important that we make sure we all speak a common language and we understand one another, that we do produce isotopes that are relevant for the clinic, but that a clinic understands also why it might be so difficult or what might be the conditions for those production. And in order to achieve that common language, what we are trying to do is offering specific trainings, transdisciplinary trainings, so that we bridge the gaps between our different communities. We actually already organized one such event as a pre-symposium to the virtual 2021 EANM Congress, and that was quite a success. So we are looking forward to organizing other such events in the future, to be present at the major conferences, as well as organizing those in the context of our own events. And should you have any ideas, suggestions, don't hesitate to contact us. You can find also the different contact details on our website, as well as the PRISMAP training office email I mentioned before. And then that's my conclusion. PRISMAP is here actually to serve our community. So give us your input, and that way we can make sure that we tailor what we offer to your needs. Voila. So those are the main aspects we wanted to bring to you this morning. So do you have any questions besides the one that was already discussed? Don't hesitate to type anything in the chat. There is some. Yes, that's the question we discussed already.
Thomas, excuse me. Yes, one question from my side is Francesco. Regarding the last point, the training for more experienced researchers, can you give me more details? Is that anything already being organized or being discussed as a training, or it's just the ENM pre-symposium you have mentioned? I missed a little bit. What is the plan?
Well, the plan is to explore at the moment ad hoc where we can contribute. So if you are yourself organizing a conference and you tell me, Thomas, can you find someone to bring me that sort of knowledge, we will do that. We are concentrating in the first stage at the moment towards organizing such pre-training within our own consortium. So we already have established plans within our different work package meetings to make sure that we train ourselves to begin with on this interdisciplinary, on this transdisciplinary aspects, but we want to bring that also outside the border of our consortium. So it's rather a plea to everybody listening today. If you have opportunities, if you see opportunities where that could be valuable, don't hesitate to contact us. I've been also doing that already at a national level. I've been contributing in different national symposia this year, especially, where I have been trying to bring sort of the picture that we developed from our end at the production level towards then the people who are more established in the clinic. So it is something that we are slowly building up at this stage.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, so there is a question online. Do you plan policy actions on radiopharmaceutical legislation to harmonize it amongst different countries? That's a dream, for sure. We do have some ambitions in that respect, but I think it's probably best then if I were to defer that answer to the person in charge of our harmonization work package, Clemens de Cristoforo. It's also a good introduction to you.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I'm Clemens de Christopher. I'm leading work package 4, standardization and harmonization. I mean, we have, and it's a question what you mean with policy actions. We have already drafted a deliverable that can be found online as presented today already on the Synodo, trying to define also and to describe the issues that are related to the use of novel radionuclides within PRISMAP. And in this context, we have also invited in our workshop, I wouldn't say policy makers, but players in the regulatory field, from the European Medicines Agency to national regulators in Europe, and also on an international level. Also, we involve the IEA to contribute to that. So we are not doing directly policy actions, but we try to promote and communicate the issues you have within the translation process of novel radionuclides within Europe. So we do that. We are also aligned very much with other players in this field, particularly ENM, who is doing a lot of regulatory actions related to radiopharmaceuticals. So we also align with that. So it's more raising the awareness, and well, we will see. Maybe that evolves in also taking action.
Okay, thank you very much, Clemens. And I would like then to pass the mic on to Mikael Jensen, who also was the main author to our logistics deliverable. That's one of the other 2 deliverables that Thierry introduced, which is specifically about logistics and transport, which is another place where harmonization can be quite relevant.
Well, thank you, Thomas. Yes, although transport and logistics may seem very humble technical matters, it turns out that it is actually a bottleneck to our dreams. And instead of stop dreaming, we have to solve the bottlenecks. Of course, there are 2 issues. One issue is short half-life. And definitely, if you want to produce something in one part of Europe and use it in another part of Europe, and you still want to purify it in a third PRISMAP facility, you are in from some logistic problems if you are talking short half-lives. Air transport seems obvious. However, this works for normal medical nuclear medicine supply, but we are not always recognized as being that important. And certainly we don't send on the same transport every week, and we cannot always claim that we are urgent perishable medical transport for life-saving whatever. So research radionuclides tend to be deprioritized by the commercial airlines, and this is something we have to address. We have found that road transport, even if it takes many, many hours and doesn't look carbon neutral, is a more secure way, securing availability to the customer, which is the real quality standard that we are looking for. And still, Europe is connected by tunnels, and passing tunnels is not that easy. There may be a possibility for using small fixed-wing aircrafts. We are exploring that, going into negotiations with regulators. All of these things are something that we have addressed. We have issued something which is both a collection of problems, but it's certainly also a guide how you can do it day one. We have told you in this deliverable, which is available public on our website. And finally, we are in dialogue with the IAEA and other bodies, because some of the radionuclides we are going to supply you with are not even known. Well, they're known to humankind, but they are not known to regulators yet. And in some places, you cannot ship something which is not known. It is dangerous, but how dangerous, and how do you find out? And all of this are things happening by this mundane technical transport and logistics, and it's serving the same issue, try to straighten regulations and make it more easy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Michael, for this enlightening explanation. So you can see that we are not like the Joint Research Center, a policy advising body. However, we do our best to contribute with our research. There is another question that came in, which is about our interaction with the EANM. And for example, they recently contributed to the new Pharmaceutical Rules Directive 83 is mentioned there as an example, and whether we have any connection to EANM in this sense. I would maybe invite our coordinator to respond to that. We do have representation from the EANM in some of our bodies, but maybe Thierry, you can give a more extended answer to that.
So indeed, I mean, when Clemens was putting together the documents, I think we did have a link actually to EANM because Clemens is a link to EANM. I think you're in the group for
Yes, there was the question whether we link with EANM. They are active in the well, because the EU is revising the Directive 2001/83, which is a pharmaceutical directive. So there is, for example, we invited our colleague from the EANM to participate in our workshop. So I'm also involved in the EANM activities in that. So there is an alignment, and there could be a role at some point for PRISMAP, maybe to add to statements and to certain issues. There are many things that are also in the same interest. So we have a mutual exchange between PRISMAP and EANM, and I think that
so a bit of a precision to the question: is there a formal link to EANM?
A formal.
Isn't there a member of EANM on our external expert advisory board?
I think so.
Yeah.
So we have the scientific liaison officer of EANM indeed in our steering committee or advisory committee. So that is the official link, and as sorry, yeah, I'm outside of the field of the camera, and
you're outside again.
As Clemens, so we have Michael Leisman as the scientific liaison officer at EANM, and then being able to provide this official link to EANM. And as Clemens has mentioned, so we have produced this document on harmonization, and there's a consensus document, and we hope and we propose that we send the link to the chat. Please have a look through. I think is very well made and quite exhaustive and interesting input. And I think this is what we would like to eventually use to trigger, as you mentioned, these official links, or let's say to open the channels so that we see how best PRISMAP can continue the input into this harmonization. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Thierry. Christiana,
yes.
actually, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to add, thank you very much. That clarifies, to add if there is any participation more specifically to the position statement that has been issued by the EANM. For example, something that very important for the PRISMAP, the definition radionuclide precursor. I really like the paper written by Renata on that point. And the EANM took a position and expressed the position. ENM is one of the sponsors of these new pharmaceutical regulations. There's also an opportunity to still revise and give opinion by the end of the year, if not mistaken, because it's close to the public already. And I was wondering if there was a participation of PRISMA, because the definition radionuclide precursor, like copper-64, how is that, and from a regulatory standpoint, how is it going to be considered? You know, do we need a market authorization? Are we going to have code kits that it's going to be maybe a market authorization will be imposed? So that definition, the directive is very important. It will impact, for example, the novel radioisotopes, because we start to distribute. We can distribute copper chloride, you know, and also zirconium oxalate, for example. What's going to be the regulatory status today? If you look at the directive, it's depending on the interpretation. Authorities can take in a different way. So I think that particular point in that ENM position is of a particular importance for PRISMAP. And my question was, was PRISMAP involved doing that position paper or not? But it's kind of reply that, but I don't know for that particular document if there was any involvement. Maybe the presence of Clemens in both PRISMA ENM committee brought the view from the PRISMA into the ENM position as well. I don't know, it's just wondering. I don't know if that relationship is formal or it's just informal. But I don't know if my question was clear now.
Yes, thank you. It's a very specific question. I find myself not very able to answer, but I see Thierry as perplexed as I am.
Not really.
If you want, Christiana, it has definitely triggered a very intense discussion between Renata and Clemens.
I will send you the position paper to Renata and to Clemens. They probably have it, but I'll send the position paper.
Thank you, Christiana. This is triggering PRISMAP discussions already.
Yeah.
Okay.
I suggest also for the sake of time, because we are already a bit behind schedule, that we will take that up with you. Thank you very much. Renata and Clemens will be in touch with you to address your question. Well, that's I find that very exciting to get that sort of input from the community. Is definitely a way for us to also move forward in those activities. Actually, yes, the suggestion in the chat is maybe if you have a link to that position paper, that you may share it in the chat and everybody can access it. Good. So we are now moving on to the next part of our event today, which was introduced already.